I'd like to see Ryan Leash is there in the back, so I'd like to just make comments if you.
Brian?
Yeah, I just want to say the great job that the downtown TERS is doing in regards to all the good things that are happening in downtown, in regards to the reconstruction of Dallas Street and y'all's involvement on Allen Parkway as well. And I understand that the theater district has a master plan, so looking forward to that. Might be something that, of course, the downtown church will be involved in as well. So again, thank y'all for everything that y'all are doing to make downtown such a beautiful and vibrant place to go to, a destination. So again, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and I'll make sure to let the board know that. And thank you again on their behalf for all those reappointments. They're excited to continue serving.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you.
Okay, item 5, is there a motion?
Move.
It's been moved and seconded on item number 5. Any discussion? Discussion? Yes. Councilmember Borkin.
Thank you, Mayor. Colleagues, last week, again, I'm just so appreciative that we had an opportunity to seat the board members for the tax increment reinvestment zone number 26. And Pastor James Nash's name was not on the list, and so we decided to pull it before we took the break. And add him to it this week. So what we're doing is just finalizing the 7 board slots with Pastor James Nash to be added to it. So we're just so honored, and he's here, he and Ms. Nash, Mayor.
Good. Let's do the vote first, and then we can call them up. Any other discussion on item number 5? Councilmember Kubosh. After. Any other discussion on item number 5? Any other discussion? In favor, opposed, granted. And Pastor Nash and his wife are both present. And so why don't you both come forward? And Pastor Nash has been appointed to the Board of Directors of the Tax Increment Reinvestment Zone number 26, also known as the Sunnyside Zone. Pastor Nash and Sister Nash, it's good to see you both. And certainly, Pastor Nash, we want to thank you for the work that you have done, well, not only in the Sunnyside area, but throughout the city over an extended period of time. Your heart, your passion, your commitment, your dedication. No one can question your commitment to the city of Houston, and certainly no one can question your dedication to Sunnyside. And then let me congratulate you on your church anniversary that you just had recently, which was outstanding. So it was, I was honored to be there. And Sister Nash, I look forward to the Thanksgiving, to the feast. I know your feet are hungry, but I'll be right there. Joining in that number. Councilmember Kubosh.
I want the council to know these are my friends. They've worked hard in the community. I see them at the district courts when there's people in trouble. You stand with the people. You stand with those that are hurting and those that are in need of counsel. You've given me good counsel over the years. Thank you for when my wife's father passed and there was a funeral on a Sunday morning. You were there and drove all the way up to Cleveland, Texas. It means a lot to have a friend like you and your wife, and I'm greatly honored to have you as my friends, and I'm glad you're serving on this board.
Councilmember Borkin.
Thank you, Mayor. I think Mayor, you and Councilmember Cooper said it best. Pastor and Mrs. Nash, thank you all for what y'all do. Pastor Nash, when I decided to run for this office, I came and met with you, and you brought the history of Sunnyside to my attention. I thought I knew about Sunnyside, but after meeting with you, you explained about how it was annexed by the city years ago, and you felt that infrastructure services were neglected over the years, hadn't adequately been funded back to that area. And so I committed to you that I would talk to then Mayor Parker about a tourism area. And we worked through this thing, and I think it's just fitting to have someone with your vision to serve on this board to make certain we don't play politics with this area, but benefit the residents of Sunnyside. So thank you, sir. Ms. Nash, thank you so much for always sticking with this wonderful man as he take on challenges for many others. Mayor, thank you again for making this happen, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Green.
Thank you, Mayor. Reverend Nash, Pastor Nash, and Ms. Nash, congratulations, and thank you so much for all you do for the community. I always want to thank you for always being supportive of me and everything that I do. Folks will call you, but you'll say, "Oh, no, that's Green," and and so I appreciate that. I'm glad you're on the board. I want to thank Councilman Boykins for making this happen, because I know you will be the conscience of that board to make sure that community is taken care of. So we appreciate you, and again, congratulations.
Councilman, thank you all. Thank you both. Pastor Nash, you want to say anything? Thank you both. All right. On the mayor's report, let me just highlight two things. Of course, you know, Louisiana, particularly the Baton Rouge area, is still recovering from their flood, and it was a devastating flood. I talked to the mayor of Baton Rouge on last week, Mayor Holder, and Holden, and indicated, you know, the city of Houston would stand ready to do anything that we could to assist the people in Louisiana, that particular area. And I asked him, you know, what do they stand in need of? And one of the first things he said is that, of course, backpacks and anything dealing with the kids. And so we're joining with members of the faith-based community. We'll put a call out. Janice Weaver, who's on the staff, who works directly with many of the faith-based leaders throughout the city, asking if we can provide various supplies that can be taken to Louisiana on Monday by several ministers that will be heading in that direction. We'll make them the ambassadors for the city. But they are in need of things like buckets, mops, cleaning supplies, including chemicals, rubber gloves, masks, trash bags, scrubbers, brushes, shoe covers, push brooms, squeegees, and of course the backpacks, brown and black belts, white socks, school uniforms, crayons, notebooks, markers, car seats. Those are the things that they're standing in need of. So they have plenty, you know, they have plenty of water and those type of items. But the first thing he mentioned was just school supplies. Some of their schools won't be able to be open until the beginning of the year. So it was a devastating situation, and I know Houstonians stepped up, beyond belief when after the April 18th flooding that we had, they're now going through their crisis. So if anyone can supply these items, the backpacks, buckets, mops, cleaning supplies, rubber gloves, masks, trash bags, scrubbers, you name it, we would like to gather as much as we can between now and Sunday in order for the truck to move out on Monday, heading to Baton Rouge and to the Baton Rouge area. So any of those type of items, we're not collecting any checks or anything, more of the supplies, but especially things for the kids. So backpacks and all of those type of stuff, socks, crayons, notebooks, whatever people can do. And then, of course, the buckets, the mops, and the cleaning supplies. All of those things will be very much appreciated for the people in Louisiana, specifically the Baton Rouge area. And you can contact Janice Weaver here with the city, and she's helping to collect that. And then I know Pastor Terry Anderson from Lily Grove and some other pastors are heading to Louisiana on Monday. And what I said with them, we will simply load up all the supplies we can in an 18-wheeler, and that truck can move out with them, and they can represent the city of Houston. Councilmember Boykins.
Mayor, just real quick, I want to say, Councilmember Martin is from Louisiana, and he went to LSU because he couldn't get in Texas Southern, but that's a different story. But we both have agreed. I had about 400 backpacks left from my back-to-school drive, so he and I both agreed that we would join the caravan, and we're going to go to Baton Rouge on Monday, and we're going to take 250 from my shop, and I think he's going to check and see if he can get a donation from his company to see if we can go down and bring. So I just want you to know we're traveling to Baton Rouge on Monday as well.
And certainly represent the city, and if we can collect all of the stuff and put it all in the truck, and you all it can follow you all, and it doesn't matter to me.
We'll get with Janice, Mayor.
Yeah, but the call is out to the faith-based community, nonprofits, those who can, and we're trying to do as much as we can between now and Sunday for the truck to move out with you all on Monday. So your generosity would be very much appreciated, especially for the kids. Any of these items for the kids would be appreciated, and they are going through their crisis. The other thing that I want to comment on and I know this is something that's very near and dear to Councilmember Gallegos, and that is Houston Botanic Gardens and the Houston Golf Association restoration of Gus Wortham Golf Course. And both of these projects are on target and moving forward. I'm pleased to report that in December, both the Houston Botanic Gardens and the Houston Golf Association met their respective $5 million fundraiser goal for 2015. Now, y'all supposed to be doing this. Yeah, you know.
Lead by example, man.
Right, and this has been a long journey for both groups, and they're moving forward. I appreciate all the efforts to date and look forward to working with both organizations as we move further through this process. And this morning we have with us Steve Timms. Where's Steve? Steve's on the front row. Steve, you want to come up? Steve Timms is with the president and CEO of the Houston Golf Association. And then Nancy Abbott, is that Abishine? Is Nancy here? Nancy, why don't you come up? Who chairs the Houston Botanic Gardens. If you want to give us, you know, and those chairs are put there specifically for you all, not to mean, you know, I'm not intending for you all to stay long. But to give Steve, if you can give us kind of like a brief report on where things are, and followed by Nancy.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor, and good morning to all of you on City Council. It's a pleasure to be here. We've put together a brief slide presentation. There really are two properties that we wanted to update you on. I know there's some new members of the City Council that weren't here whenever these contracts were approved, but really wanted to update you on two properties, FM Law Park, which is a 9-hole golf course that we took over in August of 2014, and then, of course, Gus Wortham. But just background about the Houston Golf Association. We're a 501c3 nonprofit. We have a number of operations that we are involved in. Of course, the Shell Houston Open PGA Tour event, which is our main fundraiser. But our focus really is on youth and on the charitable impact that we can provide through golf here in Houston. We also have a big junior golf program. We run amateur events. Of course, the First Tee, which I'm going to talk a little bit more about, and then we have an academic scholarship program, and then our latest endeavor is the Houston Municipal Golf Association, which is really the repository for FM Law Park and Gus Wortham. Am I supposed to say next slide for the slides? I don't know if they're moving or not, but next slide. So, like I said, two properties we want to update you on. FM Law Park was a facility, a 9-hole facility that was built in the late 90s, specifically for juniors. It was run by Houston Parks and Recreation Department for a number of years. And we merged our chapter with the city's chapter of the First Tee in August of 2014. We've been operating that property since then. I'm happy to report we've addressed the golf course conditions. I've improved them greatly. We've grown our program. I know Councilmember Boykins made a visit out to the facility a number of weeks ago. But really, we've been able to dedicate the facility to young people and grow the program. Just a little bit of background about the First Tee. It's a youth development program. It really has two pillars, 9 core values, 9 healthy habits. We use golf to impart these life skills on young people. Give you an idea of how big our chapter is. We're the largest in the chapter in a network of just under 200 chapters. We're in 417 elementary schools across the metropolitan area, 23 school districts, 8 programming locations. In total, in this past year, that's having the opportunity to introduce the First Tee to over 290,000 young people across the city. So obviously, huge impact. Next slide, please. Once we introduce the program to young people, we then have these 8 programming locations, which are more traditional golf settings. This summer, which we just completed our summer session this past week, we had over 2,000 young people participate across these 8 locations, and we'll see about 1,000 participate this year or annually at FM Law Park. So obviously a very important facility for us. The next slide, we'll talk about Gus Wortham. Briefly, overview of our contract that was approved in January of 2015. Mayor mentioned that we had fundraising milestone. First one was to reach that by the end of last year of $5 million. We reached that. The contract is structured under a long-term lease and operating agreement, so that triggered our effective date, which is a 30-year primary term, and we then have some extensions beyond that. So obviously, we're thinking very long-term about this project. The next major milestone for us is to have the golf course and the driving range substantially complete by the end of 2017. The new clubhouse is scheduled to, or by contract, will be finished by mid-2019, and then the entire project will be completed by the end of 2019. Next slide, and I have no idea where we are on slides here, but this is the background and timeline. I've already mentioned a number of things. I think the key thing to point out is that once City Council approved, passed the resolution that Gus Worthing will be restored as a golf course, we assembled a project team and started the work of really putting together feasibility studies and to determine our ability to permit a number of important things within the project. A lot of them are around sustainability measures, stormwater retention, building of some water features where we can be more efficient with our irrigation and really have a long-term look towards sustainability. And then, very importantly, we formed a steering committee, but we also formed a community coalition. We worked with Councilmember Gallegos' staff and office to assemble a group from the East End so that they were able to be informed of our progress and involved in that process, from elected officials to neighborhood association folks that have a representative with this community coalition. We had our first meeting in July of last year. And while we were doing that, we did an economic impact study. We've been working with the Army Corps of Engineers around a number of the issues that I mentioned earlier around permitting. Our master plan was approved in December of 2015. We then took over operations in February of this year, took over the operating responsibility of the golf course. It's a 108-year-old golf course. We've done a number of things since we took over, made a number of improvements around the overall conditioning of the golf course, hired new people, improved, brought in, food and beverage service, that sort of thing, have first tee programming. We also worked with the council member's office, in incorporating a number of the other amenities that are important to the community within the site plan, those being a dog run around close to the bayou, B-cycle station, connecting the trails within the site plan, and of course within the clubhouse we've programmed a multi-purpose facility. Next slide is just the number of rounds have gone up. We've updated the services in the area. We're attracting new customers. We're getting a lot of customer feedback. This is some feedback we're getting from our customers. I think two things here. 98% of our customers said they're going to come back, play again, and there's a comment here from folks that we're building a sense of community around the property. We put a project team together, here with a golf course architect, golf course construction, civil engineering. These folks have been working hard since the end of 2014, really for little or no fees, to help us put this plan together so that we can deliver on our promise to renovate this facility. Buildings, have a rendering here of the clubhouse, which will have the multipurpose opportunity within it. We have a very tight site plan as far as the buildings themselves on the property, so we're having to be very creative about how we combine facilities together. This rendering with the clock tower will house our first tee learning center along with our cart storage area. So in summary, we've been able to offload these properties from the city budget. We're creating some long-term cost savings, obviously providing youth development programs, and then identifying these other public amenities. So our next phase is to continue our capital campaign. We're over $5 million with the goal of starting the golf course construction late this year. So that'll give us that runway to get done by the end of 2017. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Nancy?
Good morning, everybody. I'm Nancy I'm Board Chair to the Houston Botanic Garden. Thank you so much, Mayor Turner, and thank you, City Council, for having us here today. As many of you know, we have a strong partnership was formed with the city and the garden last year with the council approving a contract to lease Glenbrook Golf Course for the site of a magnificent botanical garden for our great city. We've been working extremely hard planning stages, and we are so thankful for Councilmember Gallegos' support, and we look forward to having a very strong partnership to achieve great success. We're currently in the time of leadership transition as we move forward into the fundraising and the design phase of the garden. I'm pleased to announce that we have just named Claudia Gee Vassar as our new interim executive director. Claudia is here with us today. Claudia, you want to wave? Thank you. We will start a national search for a permanent director in the next few months. I know I need to keep my comments brief, so I am pleased to turn this over to Steve Lindley, who is the chairman of the Planning Committee. Steve will tell you more about our master plan.
Thank you and good morning. The City Council, there are new members on the council, and I think one of the first questions that's generally asked is, what is a botanic garden? A botanic garden is dedicated to the collection, cultivation of a wide range of living plants that are a specific type in a specific geographical region. Most botanic gardens have a specific educational and research component that's also tied to it. The best public gardens are great contributors to the community because they provide a beautiful green space, setting for gatherings, events, relaxation, and education for all ages and members of the community. And for the youngest of our members of the community, we hope to provide an environment which will provide and expose them to botany, horticulture, and a part of the natural world that might not otherwise be exposed to. Next. Botanic gardens are considered preeminent cultural institutions and rank among their city's museums and arts where they're located. Unfortunately, Houston is not being one of the few major cities in the U.S. that doesn't have a true botanic garden. Dallas's garden receives almost 900,000 visitors a year, and the public garden visitor total across the U.S. exceeds entertainment attractions such as Disney World and Disneyland combined. The net result is that botanic gardens have a very positive impact on our community, both economically and socially. Our garden will also provide space for public and private events, as well as a great educational opportunity. Next. The future Botanic Garden site, as Nancy mentioned, is the Glenbrook Golf Course, which is located on the east side of town and south of 610. It's a true diamond in the rough. Its location on Sims Bayou represents a great opportunity to continue the city's development of green space around our biosystems and accessible to all Houstonians. In addition to our stated goal of delivering a world-class garden and destination, we also hope to partner with Houston's great universities, the various research institutions within our medical center, and others, such as the Houston Golf Association, for plant research and to bring awareness of botany and horticulture to the public as a whole. We've engaged a fantastic team of landscape architects and specialists. This design effort is being led by the international architectural firm of West Aid, which is renowned for development of public landscapes, including the recent completion of the Governor's Island project in New York City. West Aid brings an experience and an outsider's view that creates a timeless cultural landscapes for all ages of visitors. Additionally, they have included in their team several Houston companies, including Clark Condon, Walter P. Moore, and Berg Oliver. Next. For those that might not know, well, we got skipped ahead here one here. The orientation, if you want to go back, the Glenbrook Golf Course is located right off of 45, just north of Hobby Airport, and our entrance will be on the east side of Charlton Park. Both Charlton Park and Glenbrook Park boundaries will be maintained, and it's a great location that circled by the bio in our area. Our community involvement to date has been very extensive, with engagement through public meetings and conversations to ensure that we understand the community's concerns and gather their input. The engagement will further ramp us up as we begin the initial planning and implementation of the initial phases of the project. It's very important that our local community at large be a part of this process and be beneficiaries in the development of the Houston Botanic Garden. Make sure I got it. Okay, go to the Botanic beginning slide, sorry. Next one there. The initial phase of the garden's development includes prioritizing areas of the golf course that we need to build out and include the main entry bridge, which will be off of Park Place and across over the original bio meander, as well as the initial garden collections and facilities and infrastructure to support the garden as it grows throughout the future. It's very important to note that this is a multi-year process and will be an ongoing effort for many, many years to come. We will also be working with the Houston Parks Board along for their Bio Greenway Hike and Bike Trail program that will connect this part of Sims Bio to the rest of the hike and bike system. Next. Lastly, our campaign, as Mayor Turner mentioned, we are on target and on plan. We plan to meet the $20 million milestone that's set out in our lease by the end of next year, and we are on pace to, and on track to meet that goal. To date, we've raised over $6 million towards that goal, and we plan on opening in 2020. We'll continue to keep the city updated with our progress, and I want to thank you for your attention while we give you an update on the Botanic Garden. Thank you very much.
Thank you both. Thank all three of you. And then Councilman McGagos.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for being here this morning and for these presentations. And Steve, if you could introduce your team that's with you today.
Yes, I have our board chair, Meg Leachman, and Vice President of Communications, Amanda Hanson.
Okay, and Nancy, do you have anyone else with you? Great, thank you, appreciate it. Again, thank you both for the presentation and for the updates on the ongoing resolution of the historic Gus Wortham Golf Course and the creation of a world-class botanic garden. These signature green spaces will be tremendous assets and great additions to Houston's many cultural offerings. Colleagues, it's not often that two well-respected nonprofit organizations approach a municipality with plans to revitalize two public green spaces using private dollars, which could be as much as $50 million. It's no wonder City Council in January of 2015 voted unanimously to support both plans. Similar to other successful private-public partnerships, the city has established the HGA and HBG will be fully responsible for all fundraising, operations, maintenance, and reinvesting revenues back into these properties with no taxpayer investment. A large majority in the community is enthusiastic and supportive, and in addition to Council's unanimous approval last year, both projects have received support from the elected leaders in the area. Congressman Gene Green, State Senator Sylvia Garcia, State Representative Carol Alvarado, former State Representative Marianne Perez, Judge Armando Rodriguez, and Judge Richard Vada. I am confident both projects will attract tourism and spur economic development throughout our community and city when completed. In fact, studies by the GHP and East End Management District project that a botanic garden in Houston could pump as much as $25 million per year into the local economy. The Botanic Gardens in particular will serve as a destination for families, environmental education, field trips for school children, horticulturalists, bird watchers, and tourists, while providing permanent and seasonable jobs and volunteer opportunities for people in the community. It will embrace and enhance the natural beauty of Sims Bayou and encourage jogging, bicycling, and paddling along the Bayou Trail, which is expected to be completed in 2 years. Coupled with other beautification projects being led by the Hobby Area Management District and the Gulfgate Tours, the entire area will be revitalized into Houston's next destination district. Colleagues, I have been at the forefront of these 2 projects for the last 2.5 years, and I can't tell you how excited I am about their potential, not just for District I, but for the city of Houston. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Stoddard.
Thank you. I just want to take this opportunity to congratulate y'all for overcoming a lot of obstacles that we know were put in front of you, and congratulate former Councilmember Pam Holm and others that were on that board that had the tenacity to stick with it when they were challenged by some of the folks around here. And Councilmember Gallegos, I really appreciate your passion for this and moving it forward and making sure that these folks had the support needed to move us forward to do the right thing. And this is a very impressive package. And I was just asking Mayor Pro Tem if she played golf, if we were going to have to go out there and get moving. And she said she used to play, and I used to play, but I can, but we'll see. But with all of that said, we really appreciate your work and your willingness to stick with it. It's very important to the east side of Houston, for all of Houston, and to do this with private funding is very, very much appreciated. It's a great asset. I have played out at some of these courses, so I really appreciate it very much. Thank you. And I think Councilmember Gallegos, Mayor, is almost as excited about this as I am about demolishing apartments. So that tells you a lot.
Good. Councilmember Martin.
Thank you, Mayor. And Steve Timms, I can't begin to tell you how wonderful of a job you do representing the game of golf, growing the game of golf in the city of Houston, especially through the HGA, especially through the First Tee Foundation, where you get low socioeconomic kids involved in the game. Councilmember Boykins and myself had the opportunity to play Gus with you about a month ago, and Councilmember Gallegos was out there as well. What you've done with that course, if anybody has ever played it a year ago, go out and play it now. What a tremendous improvement. It just goes to show you what a not-for-profit can do when you give them the opportunity to do it the right way. Even though I live up in the north side of the city of Houston and worked in the Humble Independent School District, it's the Houston Open, it's not the Humble Open. And we need to do everything we can to bring that golf course to Memorial Park. And we had massive discussions over the last couple of years about core services. And I'm of the opinion that golf business is not one of the city's core services. We don't do it very well. You look at the number of not-for-profits, the number of LGCs we have in the city that are doing a tremendous job with renovations, with things like Houston First and what we're seeing in downtown. And it just goes to show you that public-private partnerships and our partnership with 401c3s and not-for-profits, or 501c3 and not-for-profits, could go a long way. So thank you for what you're doing, and thank you for everything that we have, not only today, but what we can do in the future.
Thank you.
Councilmember Christie.
Thanks for the report, both of y'all, because it was very positive, and I look forward to it. Mr. Timms, just when you build a clubhouse, just consider the golf museum that we talked about. See if there's any possibility of acquiring that for the clubhouse at Wortham. On the Botanical Garden, you know, this part along I-45, and
yes,
it looks like 500-600 feet of frontage. It looks like some commercial establishments right along that way. Picture what University of Houston did with those establishments that block the beauty of their campus now. They bit by bit picked it up to where the entrance to the U of H is just beautiful from the freeway. I think the Botanical Garden with signage and waterfalls and trees, if there's some way to pick up that strip of land down the road, it would make the Botanical Garden really a very attractive place, like U of H has done on I-45 back down here. So consider that, the exposure. You won't have your entrance there or anything, maybe not, but the beauty that you see from the freeway.
Right, I agree with you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Cohen.
Thank you, Mayor. I too want to add my congratulations to both groups, also to the council member for his incredible hard work on making sure that both of these programs moved forward. As in terms of what Councilmember Stardick said about my golf, yes, I used to, but I added, and she was kind enough not to note that I added a lot of the parts don't work as well, so I can't swing as hard, but I can swing a camera. And that's what excites me about the Botanical Gardens, because I can smell the flowers and take pictures of the beauty. And I particularly want to congratulate Nancy and know that she carries on a tradition of her family, and particularly Maconda, who made this city in so many ways what it is today. And your devotion to the quality of life is really unsurpassed. Thank you, and everyone that helps you on this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Borkins.
Thank you. Councilmember Gagas, first of all, I want to thank you for allowing Councilmember Martin and I cross the lines into your district to beat up your golf course, because it's a wonderful golf course. Colleagues, for those who play or don't play, you still can get a golf cart and ride around and look at the transformation of Gus Wortham. Steve, you guys have done an outstanding job with that course. And I'm speaking for a lot of golfers. For many years, we've asked over and over and over and over, when can someone put some money into Gus Wortham with that wonderful championship layout to be able to bring it to where it is today and where it's going. So I just want to thank you. If you don't mind, chairman of your board, I drew a blank on the name. Can you have your team to stand up, Steve, and acknowledge it?
Amanda Hanson.
Amanda is, no, the chairman of the board.
May.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay, I just want to recognize them and thank you all for your volunteerism and your commitment to making certain that Law Park that's in my district in Pastor Nash's neighborhood is up and running. Marty Whitcliffe, Attorney Marty Whitcliffe, Mayor, Doctors Joe Swafford, Melba Swafford, Gerald Smith, they were involved in Law Park before they got involved, volunteering. Now the resources are there. And I went out and toured Law Park, and Mayor, I think we need to look at a first tee on the north side, because what they're doing for inner city kids out there is transformational. This past Sunday, I was looking at Undercover Boss, and I saw TaylorMade. The CEO of TaylorMade was one of the undercover bosses. And during their little process, they showed where there was a lady, a supervisor, that was showing all the shoes and accessories were being thrown away because they had a scratch on them or something. And I thought about you, Steve, and I said I was going to get with you and say, for those kids that you guys are giving used clubs and equipment to in my neighborhood, and I'm sure throughout the city, they would appreciate a pair of golf shoes that cost $100 with a scratch on them. So you may want to follow with that CEO at TaylorMade and see if they can donate some of that to First Tee.
We will.
But thank you so much, man. Thank you for Law Park. Thank you again, Councilman Gagas, for your vision for Gus Wortham. I'm so excited we finally got it to where it needs to be. And work on those greens, because Martin cheated me on the greens, Steve, and you were the witness. Come on, tell the truth. Didn't he cheat me?
I can't do anything about any of that.
Councilmember Laster.
Thank you, Mayor. Gentlemen, thank you for your presentation. I'm proud to have been an early supporter and advocate for the preservation and protection of Wortham Park, and working with Councilmember Holmes and all of that wonderful team. In that conversation that we had about where the Botanic Garden would go or not, I must say that I advocated for a less an advantageous location for the Botanical Garden in my district. And while we lost out on that, I'm very proud of where it's going to go, because I look at these two facilities as being an enormous win-win for District I. And Council Member, I want to give you kudos for that, and give you kudos to the community for that. The benefits to both of these facilities are just beyond imagining. We really we can only hope what this will be 100 years down the road. And so as proud as I am, I'm a little green with envy, Mayor, and I'm looking for opportunities just like that on our green spaces in Southwest Houston, and I know other council members are, and I certainly invite Mr. Timms and anyone else that would like to come and talk to us about future opportunities in Southwest Houston. Thank you and congratulations, and we look forward to supporting the many successes that are coming down the road. Thank you.
Thank you. And the final one, Councilmember Cisneros.
Thank you, Mayor. I am so excited about the Botanical Gardens, and I wanted to thank you, Mr. Lindley, for giving me a tour a couple months ago. I think and on what Councilmember Gallego said, that it's not just a win for it is a win for the city of Houston. So thank you for bringing this forward, and I'm excited to get right behind you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And again,
one more thing. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I just also wanted to add that, Councilmember Martin, I am also looking forward to seeing more green spaces in District H. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, let me add my congratulations also to Councilmember Gallegos, and then to Houston Golf Association, to Botanical Gardens. I think this is another step in building complete communities and certainly creating opportunity areas throughout the city. So thank you all very much. Look forward to continuing to work with you.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, let's now move to the public hearings.
Okay, there are two of them listed on your agenda. The first one is listed as item, what is it, 5? I don't even have it on.
1 and 2.
Item 1.
Okay, 1 and 2.
Yes, ma'am.
1, I can't read it, it's up here. It's the proposed annexation of territory in the vicinity of I-45 North and Rankin Road. No one